Welcome to Offset, Larry and the Big Man, two-time Stanley Cup champion. That's Jay Caulfield. I'm Larry Richard, and Dave Ricchini is our Nostradamus and keeper of all statistics and information. David, good to see you.
Good to be here.
We're going to start by congratulating Tuffy Shallenberger, owner of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and his team and organization, national champions after they won a tough defensive match with a penalty kick in Tulsa.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to have him on with us, before the game. And again, unassuming, just a great, obviously doing a great job as an owner and bringing soccer to its height. And then on a televised game that we all get to watch, they did it again and brought home another championship here to the city of Pittsburgh. Congratulations to all the guys in Tuffy. Nobody's put more time and worked harder at it to get it to this point.
And I talked to him. I said, hey, where's the celebration? Where's the party? We'll find out probably any time now. And I think Pittsburgh would love to be a part of a national championship celebration. So we want to thank One Team Media with Brian Hess, Mark Coddington, Ryan Jurgen producing our broadcasts and on the podcast. And we want to thank from Odyssey Pittsburgh, Michael Spacciapoli.
Yeah. Also Dave Rourke and Rourke Automotive, the automotive group. Thank you so much. And Tom Grillish with Henderson Brothers, two title sponsors for us. And thank you very much for being a part of it.
That said, what happened in Chicago? What is it about Chicago in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers? They are 1-13 in their road visits to the Windy City. So this goes over a lot of years with a lot of different teams, a lot of really good teams, and they had a chance to win on Sunday. What was the turning point, Dave?
Yeah, it seemed like everything was lining up for them because, no Aaron Rodgers. That came out late morning on Sunday, so you weren't sure if he was going to make it, if he was going to make the start.
Yeah, that was big breaking news.
It was, and I think the right decision too. I mean, I'm sure he wanted to be out there because of his success against the Chicago Bears, but I think the right decision, rest him up, get him ready for the Bills game. But I thought Mason Rudolph played well enough to win. I know he had those two key turnovers, but still, he scored 28 points. You're expected to win in the NFL. And I thought he did well enough. And you saw the Bears, they were depleted, the linebacking core. 3 guys out, and then the 4th gets hurt in the first quarter. To me, I thought that for the running game, you look at the final numbers, and Kenneth Gainwell had 92 yards. He had 55 yards on a fake tush-push play.
They still had 130 yards on the ground, all right? They still had 130 yards, right?
Combined between him and Warren.
Yeah.
But I don't know. With the linebackers out,
I'd
like to see
running over the middle a little bit.
That's it too. Tight ends, 8 combined catches. You thought with the tight ends the Steelers have, take advantage of the middle.
So what was the turning point? Yeah. What was it about what happened on Sunday that you thought, if you flipped it, was it the 4th down they went for when they had the lead and could extend it with a field goal? They went for it and didn't get it.
Was that the worst
turnover?
What was that? You're talking about the tush push that didn't work, the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand what was even going on that. It didn't even look like there was no move. I don't understand.
There was no push. There was push, but we didn't see push.
We did. So sorry, Dave. I didn't want to jump into your. pick.
This isn't a big man blitz yet.
That's right.
You could see Connor Haywood and Kenneth Gainwell kind of talking.
Yeah,
but something didn't go out. Something didn't work out there.
It almost looked like Gainwell was almost trying to pull. I don't know what was going on there either. Why would you? I don't know.
Well, I like the tricky one great. That ended up being a touchdown at the end of the first half.
Okay, so we're still getting away from Dave's turning.
Yeah, sorry.
So I'll give you my main one. I'll give you an honorable mention too, because I like to do that. The Rudolph strip sack I thought was the key play, just because Steelers still had the lead there. Bears scored a touchdown. The Steelers were down 3. Bears scored a touchdown after recovering the fumble to take a 10-point lead. First 2-score lead of the game. But I'll say too, in the start of the second half, the Steelers drive down the field, they punt, they tackle the guy at the 10-yard line, comes back because of holding, and then the Bears get the ball at the 40 instead, 30-yard difference, and they score a touchdown.
Yeah,
just the way that game was going back and forth, nobody really had control of it the entire time. That was a key play. I think if you can pin them back to the 10,
you should never get called for a hold
on a covering a kick.
No.
Before I get to my turning point, I do have to ask, what happened? The Steelers had one timeout left, right? and you see the two guys trip, or why could you not get up off the field? I'm two things. And I think J.J. Watt was trying to say, hey, the clock was stopped. Why did they lose the timeout because of that particular play? Why you don't get off the I'm wondering why you don't get off the field.
Yeah, J.J. Watt, I heard him say that.
Yeah, they never gave it. Did they ever give us an answer?
Well, I'll tell you why. James Pierre tripped, and he was a little over dramatic, in my opinion, falling down, and he took his time to get up. The ref blew the whistle because he looked like he was injured, but he wasn't. He jumped right back up.
Yeah.
Too late. Inside of 2 minutes for an injury, you're charged with a timeout.
Right, then,
and if you don't have timeouts, they do a runoff, or I think you can get a penalty. But bottom line is, they took that timeout away because of James Pierre.
Or you lose the seconds. To me, then everybody has to understand the rules. The guys don't understand the rules.
Well,
why would you even?
They
highlighted it. They showed the play.
He tripped over. It almost looked like he was.
Yeah.
I don't know what he
was
trying to do. Selling. My point is, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? When they go to film tomorrow, after the game, they're going to see that and go, "What were you thinking?"
Yeah, I'm sure.
You cost us a timeout, which at the end it could have mattered.
Oh, it would have mattered. I didn't get it either. So, all right, that wasn't.
Sorry, that was.
Was that your turning point, Jay?
Nope. I went long like you did, Dave.
All right, Jay Caulfield.
Okay, you're gonna. This is
what was the turning point?
Very rarely do you have a turning point so early in the game. Okay, but I'm gonna give you mine. They run the ball on the first play of the day for 9 yards. Then instead of pounding him one more time, they throw down the sideline.
And it's
to appease, they get the DK Metcalf, whatever it is, and it's picked off. Did they stretch did any more? Then it became the dink and dunk. I just felt getting picked off early, change it. And I'm against. You ran down their throat. 3 linebackers, they're not there. Their backups are in. I think they should have just followed right back up. I don't care if you have a scripted play, whatever it might be. I would have followed right back up and ran it right down their throat again. For me, and I've never had a turning point that's that early in the game, but that's what I'm going to go with.
So at that point, you knew it was over. You turned the game off?
No, it didn't do that, though. But my point was, did you see a ball go past 10 yards again? Maybe 1 or 2.
Not completed,
right?
Yeah.
It's hard to, and there was more time there for
they didn't throw down the middle.
Or any. I mean, look, we're all kind of probably tired of watching
giant tight ends.
Okay, Gainwell had the most receptions on the team. That's telling you your back your running back has the most receptions. To Dave's point earlier, which you said, Larry, you've said it too. So I just felt like you got picked off, and all of a sudden maybe they got gunshot. Whoa! We got picked off early. You don't want to lose the game that way, so you kind of like play. There's prevent defense, and there can be prevent offense from when, right? Whatever it might be, they gave themselves they don't stretch the field. They don't make it, and all the weapons that they can have, but they made it's a product of wide receiver 2, whatever it might be. But I thought awesome number of guys had.
I got one nugget for you. So the Steelers wide receivers this year, 84 catches, 1,082 yards. George Pickens, 67 catches, 1,054 yards. He almost has as many yards,
including the big one. We'll get to that with Dallas. That helped turn the tide was George Pickens. All right. There's a lot of emotion in this first part of the segment. So we'll race through the predictions. So Jay said 17-13.
Oh, yeah.
Dave said 2017. I said 21-10. We were all wrong. I thought maybe this was the year that they break that jinx, whatever it is in Chicago.
Did you not? I mean, we're stuck between what defense. What are we going to get? That's what it is. We don't know whether we're going to hold them to nothing. They had two turnovers, created 2 turnovers, 1 for 7 points. I guess another turning point could have been, by the way, they got that fumble, and then they didn't get that's when the tush push. That's when they didn't get that. That probably would have been a smarter turning point, because I think if you put points on the board with that, I think you could be looking at a different outcome.
Well, look at the final. It's 31-28. So those 3 points would have mattered.
Mm-hmm.
But your 2 turnovers, to your point, gave them 14 points.
Yeah.
So that's a bad combo when you have 17-point differential, even taking away the strip sack that you got.
Yep.
Caleb Williams in the end zone with T.J. Watt.
Yep.
So, all right. Who is the Yinzer Dog player of the week?
We give out 2 next week.
It's not the punter.
I'm going with Gainwell.
I think it's obvious.
Yep.
Well, last week.
I don't care.
I know he's
getting
getting
filled up.
2 Yinzer packs.
Yeah, he's going to get 2.
We're going to double.
We're going to make him a 220-pound back at it with Larry's Ginger Dog tailgate package coming to him soon.
I'm gonna put TJ out there too. I mean, he made a big play. If they win, that's the turning point of the game. I know he didn't show up maybe the rest of the game, but I got to throw him out there. My biggest thing with Gainwell, I know he played a role in the receiving game, but if that's Jalen Warren, if it's anybody back there, they score a touchdown on a 55-yard run. So I hate to give him credit for a good play design. I'm not saying he didn't. It was a great play design. I don't want to give him the credit for the yards. That's my opinion.
He was this close.
So you raved about the Baltimore Ravens doing the same kind of touch.
It was a great play.
Yeah, well, so
we didn't give Mark Andrews a Yinzer Dog.
he's not on our team.
No, it's a great
He
play.
deserve Yinzer Dogs don't cross the border.
Great play design. And I'm against giving back-to-back the same player.
Perfect, big man.
Especially to Baltimore.
I had to go with Kenneth Gainwell. I thought he was asked to do a lot. He could have done a lot more on the ground. If they second half, it was like, well, why are we changing the game plan from what was working? To your point, they rip off that first drive. I was in the car. I was racing home from this rehearsal I was at to
speed
get
limit,
the
though.
TV.
Racing
Yes, racing home at the speed limit. And I hear the first pick, and I know Rob King was saying and Max Starks how it was a, athletic play. It was a great interception. So it wasn't a bad throw necessarily, but to your point, you just keep running.
Like maybe look. I don't know what they talk about, but there are, like we talk about, Caleb Williams gets his first 15 plays are scripted, but I get if they're scripted if you're doing. I don't know what they did here, but I'm just saying if I saw something and we harped on the idea, it was harped on all day before the game, that their personnel they're depleted. Put them down early. Like there's nothing more. Yeah, there's nothing more demoralizing as a defensive unit when they're running it down your throat kind of thing. It beats them down, right? Beats them down. And I thought they could have just get the first down, run it again, get a first down, keep going and see what happens. But and I'm not against, I don't mind trying to throw it. I'm not saying we want to see the ball go deep, but I thought I would rather just jam it down their throat early. That's what I look.
All right, so Kenneth Gainwell, you get your
Kenneth
second original Yinzer Dogs tailgate party
What's
pack.
that, Larry?
It's funny you asked, Jay. Original Yinzer hot dogs, Stanley P. Kachowski Kiboski, Babushka Mama Pierogies, and
Nice.
Yinzer Halushki.
You guys had a soft opening, I saw.
We did, up in Cranberry, 2 doors down from the Milkshake Factory, which is right across the parking lot to the Muse Center.
Wow.
Where you spent a lot of time over the years, Jay.
Very nice. It's a great spot.
Come up and see us, and we're going to announce a grand opening here in the next few days.
Very good.
So we'll tell you about that. All right, let's talk about around the NFL. I guess the big game for a lot of people was the matchup with Philadelphia, reigning Super Bowl champs, and the Dallas Cowboys. You mentioned George Pickens. He was the star of the game.
Yeah, 9 for 146 and a touchdown. It was a strange game to watch.
Yeah.
It was, Dallas was down, or Dallas was up, or down 21-0, and they had a lot of chances.
I thought the game was over at that point.
It didn't feel it because Philly wasn't. There's something not right with them. Like even AJ Brown had a good game, but he scores a touchdown and like most quarterbacks go and celebrate with a wide receiver. Like Jalen Hurts just goes off to the side. There's something not right there.
Yeah, there's.
But even when it's 21-0, like Dallas had their opportunities. They turned the ball over twice in Eagles territory. They went for, which I know this has been a big man blitz in the past about going for on 4th downs, but turned it over on downs their very first possession. But even Dallas was moving the ball. They moved it with ease. That offense with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and the ground game with Javonte Williams and Dak. By the way, congratulations to Dak, passed Tony Romo for most passing yards in Cowboys history. But it never seemed like they were out of it.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Philly either. I think there's just too much dissent. There's too many, and they still seem to win. They still kind of get on and move. I think their injuries hurt them in the second half. They had to move DeJean to the outside. Stuff like that kind of happened, but they made the plays when they needed to. I think all of a sudden, Dallas, when their offense is clicking, they start to go, and they create a turnover. A lot of stuff happened for it, but I think you can't continue to go down the path of having when somebody's a superior talent, you deal with it, right? But like the Steelers lost it on, got away from Pickens. Sometimes at some point you got to move on, and then there's something in the locker room. Well, I'm not in the locker room, we don't know, but I know if there's a player that's a malcontent, somebody's not part of it, or making cryptic tweets when it's done, move on, because Philly needs to do something different. You don't see Smith complaining; he just catches the ball and makes plays for Philly. I think it's something that, and maybe it's like you said, Jalen Hurts didn't go down and be a part of it, so there's something deep in there between them. They got to forget about it, and move on, or they're going to find themselves in a wide open NFC. They literally should have been the top of the ladder, but now, they're putting themselves in a tough spot.
I didn't have a chance to watch the whole game. When I saw 21-0 when I first tuned in, I'm like, oh boy, this is over, and was moved on.
Yeah.
But there's a video, and I don't know where it happened, and I don't know the special teams player.
Oh, I saw it
for the Cowboys.
Yeah, great.
Who was getting just blocked and pushed down, and he got up, and he's the one that caused the fumble that obviously Dallas recovered and was able to score off.
Truly, that's a clip that anybody playing the game should watch and see.
Right.
I
You show young
exactly.
players that while you never quit on a play.
Yeah, and what special teams means, that was a big. I saw the clip. It was a great play, great clip.
All right, what else? What other games caught your attention?
Well, I thought L.A. last night. Or on Sunday night dominated. L.A. was They
look real.
Yeah, when they defensively they get after it. But Matthew Stafford and the receiving corps, Adams and Nakua. Right now they're certainly climbing the ladder. They play with an attitude and their skill set, what they have on the offensive side. They're good.
And they roll in 3 tight ends too. Like the Steelers, they use their 3 tight ends in different ways. So they have a lot of weapons. And how about Baker Mayfield getting hurt on a meaningless Hail Mary attempt in the half?
Yeah.
Like hopefully, I know they're going to have some MRIs. Hopefully it's not too serious. But I mean, that when he went down, that game was over.
Yeah. They don't have anyone to step in. Baker Mayfield's a player.
Yeah.
And you're right. Second half, you're like, they got no chance. Although, just a side note, how about Aaron Donald? They retired his jersey.
Yeah.
And this is just a couple of weeks after they retired it at Pitt.
Yeah.
There's not many players that get that back to back.
No, it's awesome.
So that's pretty special.
Before he's in the Hall of Fame,
Right.
which is going to be coming up
So
next.
Penn Hills native, Pitt alum, obviously, and Super Bowl champ.
One other thing I'll talk about as far as we're on the NFL. We talked about the Patriots. I mean, we need to talk about Patriots, Lions, and Seahawks. Just getting by. Lions lucked out. Giants already fired their defensive coordinator. I believe that already happened. They got by. Listen, that's going to happen. You're week 12. There's going to be, to get yourself up and be at that elite level all the time, it's difficult. It's a grind on all the players, right? It is, but they squeaked by and did what they needed to do. New England got by, but the Lions win it in overtime, and the Seahawks really had that more in control. That's one they let something up late. They were the best, they still had it in control.
You had -13, didn't you? You're upset about the backdoor cover because he was a 3-touchdown game in the second half.
It was.
You were never.
You can never feel good about it.
Tennessee scored 40 seconds left to make it. So
Pressure.
It was. Let's not say they squeaked by.
That's beautiful.
Jameis Winston deserves to have a chance to start next year somewhere.
Yep.
He's entertaining.
He's like a new guy.
Yeah.
He's had his time where he was like a pick factory. At teams he's played with before, he just couldn't.
I think he needs to stay on the level that I think I agree with that. And then the part of it is in what you brought up, Larry, when he becomes the starter and he is entertaining. I root for what he does. He's entertaining. But there's something different. You come in as a backup, you spell somebody, and he goes out there and does his thing. I think if he should be paid he's got to be paid for that and rewarded for that, because he should be playing somewhere. But I think when all of a sudden you're that number one guy, maybe his game gets a little bit different, and all of a sudden but he is worth watching. What he did on Sunday was pretty good.
The flea flicker when he almost got sacked, and then the catch from Gunnar Olszewski.
Yeah,
Gunnar
yeah.
Olszewski. Like, yeah, it's a shame they lost that game.
Yeah. So
KC too. Kudos to them for
Everybody writing them off.
Real quick.
Yep.
Shedeur Sanders got to win. Now, did you see the video after the game?
No,
He said, "Look what I can do if I had a full week of practice." as a starter. So
Everybody's waiting for me to fail. Ain't going to happen is what he said. Well, he
Well,
was just one touchdown pass with a 60-yard screen to the running back.
yeah,
so.
yeah. Look, let's just like everything else, and I believe they needed something different. Obviously, the Gabriel thing wasn't working out anyway, and the whole optics of it all, the way it's been taking place, he gets in there, they're playing a Raiders team that's awful, right? Both teams, but the Cleveland Browns have a defense that Max Crosby for the Raiders, they need to do him a favor and let him go somewhere else. But I mean, the Cleveland Browns went in there and they won a game. He gets his first win in his first start. We'll see what happens as they move on. And like, look, I always remember somebody saying, like in an 82 hockey game schedule, your weaknesses are going to get exposed. So over time, what happens to a player if he's got 5 more games to go? We'll find out. I'm sure he should be the guy that they lean on the rest of the way, and we'll find out what it's all about.
yeah, join us Thursday. We'll preview the big weekend in college football too, as well as the Steelers in NFL. How about Pitt has a chance to win 9 games and beat Miami at Acrisure at noon on Saturday. That said, congrats to Terry Smith, Penn State, getting a home win just to see him get the love. He's a good guy. We'll see what happens. Dave Ricchini, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
And we're going to check in from 93.7 The Fan. He's part of the afternoon team along with Chris Muller. They called him the PM team, Mr. Andrew Fillipponi. What happened in Chicago?
Well, what happened in Chicago is a lot like so many Steelers games we've watched over the years. They really have one of the most least sophisticated, safest, most conservative passing offenses I've ever seen. And quarterbacks change, coordinators even change. And it's really been this way since Ben Roethlisberger either retired or hurt his elbow. Whenever you want to start the clock, they just don't ever want to either throw the ball downfield or use the middle of the field. And I think really more than anything else, that's the reason why they lost the game in Chicago. And that's the reason why they've lost a lot of games over the last few years.
Yeah, Andrew, now, and we'll certainly roll right back to that. And I just had one comment. I watching this game, and I understand there might be scripted plays. There might be something. I know Williams has first 15 are scripted. And I'm looking at this game yesterday. We heard all about the linebackers being out of the lineup. Their backups are in. They're depleted. And you you run 9 yards on the first play. I would have preferred that they jam it right down their throat again. And I know, and then we want to see the ball go deep. But did it have to be right? I would have just, you want to break their will. And I know those offensive linemen want to do that early. And instead they throw deep or down the sideline. That's just one little look. I would have preferred they just kept running right down their throat, right off the bat. Instead it gets picked off.
Well, the only really bad thing that can happen on that play happened, and that was an interception, a turnover.
Yep.
For me, I don't have an issue with taking a shot on 2nd and 1 because then you've got 3rd and 1 to get the first down. It's almost like a free play. And you've got your best receiver one-on-one, and he did not have and has not had a lot of one-on-one matchups. My gripe is you've got to be able to win that matchup, meaning you've either got to throw the ball to him in a way where it gives DK Metcalf the best chance to throw it, to catch it, or you either don't throw it at all or you throw it away. I mean, Metcalf is not, for as big as he is, he's not a guy like Larry Fitzgerald that goes up and jumps over guys and makes plays. He's actually more of a speed wide receiver. You want to hit him in stride on that play. The incompletion you want on that play is an overthrow. You don't want an underthrow. You don't want the corner going up and making a more athletic play on the ball than DK Metcalf. And I heard Mason Rudolph's comments after the game about how he said, I'm going to give my guy a chance there to win a jump ball 10 times out of 10. You're not talking about George Pickens. That's a play George Pickens liked to make. He liked to jump over the corner. We saw him do that yesterday against the Eagles. That's not Metcalf's game. And I think that's the lack of, and I know he got time with him in the summer, but to me, that's the lack of game reps with a guy showing up when you don't really understand what his strengths and weaknesses are as a player.
That said, it was also the tale of two halves. Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator, as Jay pointed out, you had some success running. They didn't throw down the middle, but then they kind of changed up in the second half, and there were a couple of disastrous exchanges, including the strip sack on Mason Rudolph, which eventually led to another Chicago Bears touchdown. Why do you think they changed what they were doing, at least somewhat successfully, in the first half?
Because I think the Bears gave them defensive looks that showed, with the amount of guys they had playing close to the line of scrimmage in the box, that they thought they could throw against those softer uh, defenses, meaning they had one-on-one matchups with wide receivers and tight ends. And I think that's what got in Arthur Smith's head. You've got an offensive identity where you bring Spencer Anderson in and you've got Darnell Washington. I don't care what their numbers are in the box. They're backup linebackers. I don't care that they bring Jaquan Brisker a safety down and try to make it harder for you to run the ball. Still do it. The first play of the second half was a passing play and Mason Rudolph got sacked. To me, I thought that set a terrible tone for the second half of the game. Really, given their injuries, you should be able to run or pass on them. And I understand that you had a backup quarterback in the game, and that makes it a little bit more difficult, but you should, with the tight ends you have, with the 3 guys you're paying to play that position, and the way your running backs can catch the ball out of the backfield, you should have been able to find more success even doing that in the second half of games. Like, I do agree, though, I did not feel like the Bears shut down the Steelers' rushing attack. They didn't at all. The Steelers ran the ball better than the Bears in this game. The problem is that the Steelers went away from it, and I don't really understand that given what the Steelers want their identity to be as a football team, which is to be the most physical team on the field for that given game.
Yeah, and Andrew, I know this kind of touches on, we're covering things that probably cross over a little bit, but I think when at the end of the day, when you look at the sheet and you see that Gainwell's their leading receiver, man, you mentioned the 3 tight ends. You mentioned the wide receiver. I don't think you can come out and ever find your running back being your leading receiver, or at least catches anyway, leading the pack.
The issue is everything that they do offensively happens within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. There was one completion yesterday over 10 yards, and that was to Ben Skoranek early in the game. That was it. They had a pass interference called downfield. That was their second biggest play of the game in this one. There's nothing downfield. And that's not just because they don't trust a backup quarterback. Aaron Rodgers' stats are the same thing. They have the most yards run after the catch in the NFL because they have no air yards. There's no intermediate passing game. There's no deep passing game. J.J. Watt doing the game, I thought called out their offensive philosophy several times and said there's got to be more than just these go balls that they keep doing. These go balls in very, very short passes. There's no in between. There's only extremes with their offense, and they did that, and that got blamed on Russell Wilson last year. Last year, a lot of Steelers apologists said, well, that's Russell Wilson's game. He can only throw those deep passes down the sideline in those dump offs. That's all he can do. Well, now we're seeing the same things with Aaron Rodgers and Mason Rudolph. So you keep taking variables away, and it's still the same thing. And that makes me think that it comes from up top, where this is their strategy. They would rather not lose the game than win the game, is the way I look at it with their passing game. But the strange thing about that is you'd think they'd want to run the ball more if they're so afraid to take chances in the passing game.
And the adjustments made by Chicago in the second half, Williams, and boy, the middle seemed always open for him too. And that just torched and stretched the field for the Bears. And in spite of all that, who made the better adjustments in the second half, I think it's obvious.
Well, the game, to me, defensively for the Steelers is about their lack of pressure. They had a touchdown that they had a strip sack fumble that recovered in the end zone. You'd think, based off of that highlight, they did a good job at getting to Caleb Williams. No, they didn't. They did it one time. That was a big play, and it put points on the board. That's great. But as far as his overall game, Caleb Williams, he's never had an easier, less stressed game in the pocket. The stats back it up. He was pressured less in this game per throw than any game in his career. He got hit one time, and it was on that strip sack the entire game. And we know with Caleb Williams, this is not talking about Joe Flacco or Jordan Love getting rid of the ball so quickly, or even Justin Herbert in that Sunday night game. He holds onto the ball for a long time. So their offensive line, as far as pass protection went in this game, dominated your stars for the most part. And I thought it was also the first time all year since they made their defensive adjustments and put Ramsey at safety, where their safeties had a rough time. I thought Duggar in coverage got beat. He did on the first touchdown of the game. There was that miscommunication on the Moore touchdown in the second half where he was wide open. Their safety struggled, and I feel like there was a trickle-down effect to the rest of the defense because of that.
So with that being said, with everything we're covering, who wants the NFC North, right? I mean, right, Andrew, you look at it and you look at the schedule. We know the Steelers play the Ravens. The Ravens aren't even, I know they've won games. They've won it. They're not like dominating anybody. So anything is really wide open. It's the games in between that could matter as well. And I understand you got to take care of Baltimore, but they haven't been that good either, Andrew. And again, they've climbed back in. They're in the lead. They have the top of the division, but not in great fashion.
No, they were losing 7-3 at the half to the Jets yesterday. And Lamar Jackson, if you look at his numbers, he had another pedestrian game, nothing like Lamar Jackson. So he's still not healthy. He's playing hurt. We're not seeing dynamic run the ball Lamar Jackson, and we're not seeing Derrick Henry run over people anymore either. So their offense is not anywhere close to the dynamic unit it was, say, even at the beginning of the year. Their defense, though, has made humongous strides. Their defense now, which was the worst in the NFL at the bottom of the barrel for the first month of the season, they've now on the year given up fewer points than the Steelers. That defense has figured it out. That defense made a trade to get another safety in there from L.A. Gilman. They moved Kyle Hamilton to nickelback. They got Roquan Smith back healthy. So that defense now has clicked, and that's allowed for them to have kind of their struggles and up and down play on offense and still win these games against inferior opponents. And they got a lot more of those coming up. The Steelers really, after losing this game and some of the results from this weekend, it's hard for me right now to picture them making the playoffs as a wild card if they lose to Buffalo. If they lose to Buffalo, I think they're going to be in a situation where they're going to have to, bottom, like the worst thing they can, the least they can do is split with Baltimore. I think they might have to sweep them in order to win the division if they lose this game against the Bills. This is a hugely important game for the Steelers as far as their playoff lives go. And after such a good start, they've now backed themselves into a corner here where they've left themselves really very little margin for error.
And to your point, Buffalo's been a little hot and cold too, and they're riding Josh Allen as they typically do, but there's some pieces missing. So hopefully they'll win on Sunday. That's a 4:25 kick at Acrisure Stadium. And then if that happens, they control their own destiny in the division because they play Baltimore twice, but they'll have to win it, to your point, at least one of those. Before we move on, I want to talk about Pitt for a second, but just give us a quick thought on the matchup between Buffalo and the Steelers.
Well, it's all Josh Allen for Buffalo. There's not much else going for them right now. Now, they can run the ball, and James Cook has some really good numbers, but he's had awesome games where he's gone for over 200 yards, and he's had pretty quiet games. And after that opening drive touchdown against Houston, he was pretty much in witness protection the rest of that game. Their offensive line got abused by the Texans' great edge rushers. So you'd like to think with Watt and Herbig and maybe Highsmith coming back, that's a place where you can gain an advantage in this game. They have a similar problem as the Steelers. They have wide receivers who don't get open. And so that's why Josh Allen is having to run around and try to make all kinds of crazy plays. And he has. I mean, 2 weeks ago, they beat the Buccaneers because of that. Defensively, I think that they are really overrated. And there's an opportunity for the Steelers to find some success again this week because their safety play, their corners, there's injuries now. Their best defensive lineman is out for the season. You're at home. You've beaten the Colts at home. You've beaten the Bengals at home. You've played significantly better, I think, at home. And it's a big game. So I don't give the Steelers no chance here. But the reason why I have a very hard time picking them is because at the end of the day, it is Josh Allen versus an injured Aaron Rodgers. And I know that Josh Allen just lost to a backup quarterback on Thursday night, but now they're losing their margin for error. They're basically, win out mode to win the division, and they've got to make sure they don't lose their playoff spot to teams that are nipping at their heels, like the Chiefs now and the Texans, who they don't have the tiebreaker with. So it's a massive game for both teams, and because of that, I would have to favor the Bills because I figure Josh Allen's going to come up big in a game like that.
All right, and
Pitt.
let's talk about
Yeah, let's talk Pitt.
Pitt Panthers, a big upset on the road. I watched NFL Game Day. All the experts there picked Georgia Tech to win. They were once top 10 team. They have an amazing pool of talent, especially a quarterback that's earmarked to be an NFL draft pick, high draft pick at some point. Did you watch any of the game on Saturday night?
Yeah. Yeah, I watched the whole thing. I mean, it was incredible how you can go from up 28-0 and you can feel really the entire second half like you're on the verge of this massive collapse. And between, that 100-yard pick six bailed them out. They got Bougie Turner with that long touchdown run, I think, allowed for people to exhale. So they did make a couple of huge plays in the second half, but, ultimately they got out to a big lead and then just hung on for dear life after that. And they did some puzzling things like that fake punt. I still don't understand
Well,
what the point was of that.
Coach,
Really don't.
Coach owned that right away. He
Yeah.
says,
And he should have. Pat should have. I mean, that to me had a chance to be a play that caused you to lose the game. And then there would have been people, screaming for his job afterwards. So, hey, Pitt has put itself in position where they can make the ACC championship game. Now, they need to beat Miami and they need help, but at least they got to the final game of the season with a shot, which is truly saying something when you bench your starting quarterback who's making over $1 million in NIL and you lost to your big rival West Virginia in what was a rebuilding game for them. But all that being said, I don't think they're not catching Miami at a good time, in my opinion. I think Miami knows that they can't get into the ACC championship game, but they can win this game and leave it into the hands of the committee because, as I've told you guys several times, they beat Notre Dame head-to-head. And I can't see the College Football Playoff Committee leaving out Notre Dame, and I don't know how they could justify or rationalize taking Notre Dame and not taking Miami. So Miami, they want to go out and make a statement against Pitt. They're not coming up here to win the game 24-21. They're trying to win this game by 50 points. And that's the scary thing for me, is that Miami is the type of team where when their head is screwed on straight, there's not a lot of teams in America who I actually think are better than them. When they're motivated and focused on a game, I think even for the ACC, they're a very difficult team. They're the best team in the ACC. Record doesn't say it. They're a better team than Virginia and a better team than SMU and a better team than Georgia Tech by far. They just kind of take their eye off the ball sometimes. And so I think Pitt's going to get a very, very, very focused Miami team on Saturday. And that does make me nervous for Pitt's overall chances in this game.
Well, hopefully it's in the 30s, Jay.
Yeah.
So, if you're
We're
coming
checking the
from
weather
Miami,
report, Andrew. We're hoping it's a little cold and
Any,
Yeah.
little bad weather.
It will be.
Yep.
Any little
It's
advantage.
a big sports week here.
Yeah.
It's a great sports week with those two games at Acrisure. I actually had my 2-year-old daughter, Jay, ask me for the first time if she could go to a Penguins game.
No.
Nice.
So now, yeah,
Awesome.
she discovered hockey. She likes the color of the ice and the hitting. So now I'm trying to figure and the logos. She likes
That's
the
a
Penguins
beautiful
logo.
thing.
She actually likes the Utah logo a lot too, but I'm thinking about taking her to the game Wednesday night for her. It will be her second game, but it'll be the first one I think she's old enough to kind of get a sense for what's really going on there.
That's awesome. That sounds good.
It's a beautiful thing. All right, Andrew, always
Andrew.
appreciate your input. Thank you.
You bet, guys. See ya.
Thanks, Andrew.
Check out Andrew Fillipponi, 93.7 The Fan, along with Chris Muller, afternoons 2 to 6 in Pittsburgh or on the Odyssey app. All right, big man, we're going to wrap this one up. Appreciate One Team Media. Want to thank Mark Coddington and Ryan Jurgen producing, Brian Hess, who runs his team, and along with Odyssey Pittsburgh, Michael Spacciapoli We love our strategic partnership, so thank you.
And also Rourke Automotive Group, Dave Rourke, a big part of and a title sponsor for us. Their new building in Cannonsburg, you need to check that out. Also, the Rourke Advantage lifetime state inspection, lifetime oil changes, engine warranties. Thank you so much for being a part of it. And also Tom Grillish and everyone at Henderson Brothers. We really appreciate that as well. Both of them are part of it and title sponsors for us. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, business, people, your future, whatever insurance needs, you got a partner in Henderson Brothers. Go to hendersonbrothers.com. Larry and the Big Man, this is Offset, and that is a wrap.